Welcome to the office. We want to take a look today at section 21 on concurrence points of triangles. And to discuss our concurrence points, we want to look at 4 different lines that we can add to triangles. For each of these things, so for medians, there are 3 medians that we can add to each triangle, 1 for each side. Well, pair of side and corners, actually. Perpendicular bisectors, 1 for each side. Altitudes, 1 for each corner and opposing side. And then 3 angle bisectors, 1 for each angle, of course. So we want to recall or introduce what each of these 4 terms refer to. So for the median, we are referring to, let's see here, zoom in a little bit. For some medians a while back, a median of a triangle is a line segment whose endpoints are a vertex of the triangle and a midpoint of the opposite side. Excellent. So let's go to a triangle here a moment. There we go. So for a median, each median looks like a line from a corner to the middle of the opposite side. So let's see if we can add some lines here. All right. In section 23, we're going to look at basic constructions where we can find the middle of the opposite side. But for now, I'm just going to approximate where that is. So a line that goes from one corner to the middle of the opposing side, that is a median. And of course, we could do that for each side. For now, I'm not going to do that. That is an example of a median, and we can add them to each pair of corners and opposing sides. All right, perpendicular bisectors. For a perpendicular bisector, we are looking at splitting the each side in half. So I can take this side and split it in half. And then what I want to do is I want to find the perpendicular line. So here's the middle. Looks like maybe there's perpendicular-ish. And the line would just go from this side onward. I know where does it end? It doesn't really matter. I think that it can be a ray. It could technically be a line that extends in both directions. That's also fine. In fact, that will probably be necessary when we look at the concurrence. That is the intersection of the 3 of them. So again, we have this for this side. We could do the same thing for this side, and we could do the same thing for this side to give all 3 perpendicular bisectors. 1 perpendicular bisector for each side. Excellent. Altitudes. What is an altitude? Well, altitudes are a little bit fun because they're worth having 2 examples for. But altitudes are simply a perpendicular line. Let's see here. Altitude, we're looking at a perpendicular line to the side that passes through the opposite corner. So if I wanted to pass through this corner, and is this perpendicular? No, perpendicular somewhere around, oh, somewhere around there. That looks pretty good. So we're making a perpendicular, or this line and that line are perpendicular, making a 90-degree angle there, passing through that. So that altitude is fun, pretty basic and straightforward. So what's an example where it's worth having, right? Why would I want 2 examples of that? Am I just going to add another one to this triangle? No, of course not. I'm going to find a more interesting triangle to consider, because here we have this side, but over here, right, if I want to be perpendicular on this line and passing through that can't happen, right? I can't go from here over there and be perpendicular. Well, it works out that what we're interested in is it just needs to be perpendicular to this line, and that can happen elsewhere away from this line. So if we think of first the extension of this line, so let's see here, this is a little bit off, so I'll move it, and I know that that's not quite straight. That's fine. That one probably isn't straight either. All right. Maybe I do want this up a little bit, yeah. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I have an extension of this line, and now what I can do is I can think of adding that line that passes through the corner and is perpendicular. And that's a little bit easier to see now. So, well, I guess, yeah, approximately that. Green line is perpendicular to the red line. Red line is an extension of this side. So this is our altitude for this side and this corner. So again, it's not like the last example where we were able to pass through the side, okay, and the corner. In this example, we're passing through the corner, but it passes through the extension of the side instead of the side itself. Okay. And then if I wanted to talk about, again, later on, the intersection of our altitudes or your investigation into them, we could look at that. But we want to recognize that the extension of these, right? We can draw these as long as we want. They go, they're not necessarily line segments. You could think of them as rays or as lines extending infinitely in both directions is fine. All right. So medians, bisectors, altitudes, angle bisectors. This should be pretty straightforward. We're going to bisect the angle, and we can do that for each of the angles. So we can look at this. So this looks like something around a 90-degree angle, and splitting it in half. That's about right there. It's about, is it exact? No, I'm sure not. If we use GeoGebra, for example, we could create all of these things in a much more precise manner, but it's fun to kind of take a look at this. At least I think it is. So I would encourage you to play around with these in GeoGebra. In fact, you'll have to as you consider the computer explorations. Okay, so you're going to create some triangles and then try to find these things by creating, right? So you create a triangle, and then you're going to, let's see here, we're talking about medians. Okay, so we can create the medians, and you can fill in some blanks for that. All right, those are our terms. You're going to use these terms or use these things in the computer explorations in GeoGebra. And as a nice kind of a preview here, in section 23, we're going to learn how to find midpoints. We're going to learn how to find angle bisectors. Yeah, that's right. Angle bisectors or perpendicular bisectors, this sort of thing. So we'll learn how to do these all by hand as well a little bit later, and that is something that we'll do. All right, I see you guys back here in the office after you complete those activities. See you in a little bit.